Hi, I'm Dr. Tanya Small with A Stronger Foundation. I'm an educator, an author, and a mother of two. And I want to speak to parents. Parents, I am a little upset at what's going on with children and their education. You see, I'm an advocate for children and helping them to align with their true purpose, the purpose they were born to fulfill. And, I see a lot going on. I see there's been a lot in the news about education and teachers resigning and, you know, the leaders trying to come up with solutions. And, it's just all a big game. And it annoys me because, we're really playing around with children's life here. You know, at the very, very, very bottom of all of this, we have children with real life. I believe that kids were born on purpose for a purpose. We all were, right? And, when we don't fulfill our purpose, we end up being unfulfilled. But the worst part is just having to go back to God when He says to you, "What did you do with the talent that I gave you?" And you told Him, "I did the best that I could." And that's not good enough. So I'm jumping ahead. I want to back up a little bit because, see, as we're about to go back to school, right? My skin crawl to know that we're all going to go back through the same motion, go back through the same motion, the same pattern, where you have parents acting like they don't know. And they don't know that their children are not aligned with their purpose. Playing the game, acting like they don't understand there's no solution when they know clearly there is. You see, parents, I believe that you're going to be held accountable. And I can say we because I'm a parent. But if we don't align our children with their purpose, with their God given purpose, we're guilty. We are guilty of a very unethical act. And I believe I can even go as far as to say it's a sin. We're playing with our kids like they're pawn in a game. Parents, you're standing by and you're saying, "Well, I send them to school, let the teachers take care of it." Shame on you. How could you put your most valuable possession in someone else's hand? How can you even consider that the child's life and their purpose could be fulfilled by a teacher or some school or some curriculum? You're taking the easy road, and it's wrong because someone is going to suffer in the end, and it's going to be that child. You see how suicide is on the rise, anxiety and depression? Where else does that come from? But because one is unfulfilled. See, I don't try to fix adults. I don't. My calling is to help to align children with their life purpose. So now, when school got out, every parent knew where their children stood because you're told by the school. And some of you chose to do nothing about it. And a great majority chose to do nothing about it. You know your child is failing. And what did you do about it? You displaced it. And you sent them to a fun summer camp where they ran and played all day, didn't pick up one book. And if they picked up one book, you didn't supervise to make sure that they even read it. What are you doing? I'm on your side, Mom. I'm on your side, Dad. I am, but I am an advocate for these children. You see, in order for God's perfect will to be done, we have to fulfill our purpose. We have to handle the talent and the gifts that He gave to us. We have to let Him develop those gifts. And I'm a Christian too. And I know part of the big excuse with our Christians is, well, Jeremiah 29 and 11 says God knows the plan he has for us to prosper us, to give us a future and hope. And he does. He's never ever going to fail us. You're never going to see the seed forsaken or begging bread. Yeah. You're not going to see any God-fearing person so desperate that he doesn't provide for them, because he even provides for the fowls of the earth, of the air, the birds. Right? He takes care of every living thing, everything he created. But you also know that there is a perfect and a permissive will of God. And that he told us, be contented in whatever state you're in. He told us that because he knew that some of us would never rise to the occasion that he created for us. And now we're allowing our children to follow that same unsuccessful path. And I know God is not pleased. Because, see, when you fail to develop your child, you're messing with God's perfect plan. How dare you hinder God's plan? You think you can't hinder God's plan? Well, I'm sure he didn't intend for the Garden of Eden to occur the way it did. See, he loved us. He just wanted us to love him with everything we had, with all our heart. That's what he did. He created people just to love him. That's all he ever wanted. So no, he didn't want Eve to give in to the serpent and bring sin into the world. He didn't want that. He wanted us to succeed at having that perfect relationship that he intended to have. But that didn't happen. That failed. That's gone. It's in the past. And now with our children, okay? With our children, we're allowing them just to follow some other plan. How was the plan delayed? Well, let's just say there was supposed to be a cure for cancer. Let's just say your child had that cure for cancer. You know that they can't find a cure for cancer if they can't read at a third grade level. Come on. You know that. You see, parents, you anticipate that you know the end of your child. You think you know. See, because they're struggling to read in third grade and they can't do math. And for those of you families that just say, just put them in sports, maybe they'll get drafted. Shame on you. Because even if they get drafted, what if there's an injury? Then you left them with nothing. Nothing to fall back on. Parents, stop taking the shortcut, the easy way out, because God Almighty is going to hold you accountable because you're messing with his plan. And if your child was supposed to find a cure for cancer and you fail to develop that child to the highest potential, you messed with God's plan. Yes, you did. And you messed with that child's life. Because who knows what it feels like when you know that you didn't amount to your greatest? Who knows what it feels like? Sleepless nights when you're up and you start to see what you were supposed to accomplish, but you didn't. And now you're at your age where you know you can't go back and do it. You got to settle. You got to take anxiety medications because it's always in your head. So when the teachers told you before summer that your child's having trouble, and you know they are, but again, you think you know the end of them. You're like, nah, she ain't got the genes. She ain't got the genetics. Well, back to Jeremiah 29 and 11, that's what it meant. That God knows the plans that he has. You see, whether or not the genetics were in order, see, that's where God comes in. And he knows how to turn darkness into light. He knows how to turn a caterpillar into a butterfly. He knows how to work with something. We're not giving him anything. We're not even allowing our children to read properly. And what gives you peace is that you know it's nationwide, that the children cannot read. So you figure, no one else can read, so what? And so when you go to a graduation and you have like 10 people in the top 5%, 8 people in the top 10%, that's the best we can do. And you're okay when your child's not one of them. You see, the educational system keeps dropping the bar just to accommodate our children. But they're growing up to miss their purpose, to miss their dream, to have to sacrifice and surrender their dreams. Oh, yes, you do. Because when you're in 12th grade and you finally know what you want to do with your life, but you have all these IEP plans and all these special education plans that excuse you from really developing your math and science and reading skills. And you look back and you see what it's going to take, all the prerequisite for you to retake, just so you can now fulfill that dream. Because now they're older kids. Now they understand, oh yeah, this is what I want. But when they look back at what it's going to take, the sacrifice and the hard work, they turn away and they go work at some fast food restaurant or some department store to become bitter and angry, just lost inside. Whose fault is it? Parents, it's your fault. It's you, mom, dad, it is you. Stop looking at the school system. Don't tell me about politics. Don't tell me about the teachers. We got the most excellent teachers. Teachers are, oh my God, they're incredible. They're like, they're so eclectic. They got these skills, and teachers can break things down and they come up with these ideas. Teacher is everything. A teacher is every career. A teacher is every profession. I mean, if you are a psychologist or if you are a neuroscientist, archaeologist, optometrist, who taught you? Who taught you how to do what you do? A teacher did. A teacher is every profession. She's everybody. She's everything. And that's what you have. That's what your children have in school. They have these dynamic teachers. But see, when you hold a teacher's hand, when the teacher can't teach, well, teacher can't teach. And you know what's happening with our classrooms now? You got a bunch of kids in the classrooms that are clowns. I mean, if we were training them to be clowns, straight A's, honor roll, talk about that top 5%, oh boy. And they come up and they cut up like clowns. Why? They don't know what they're doing. They saving face. That's what else they're gonna do. School's now a social setting. Parents, it is you. Because see, you begged God for this child. You wanted kids so badly. You know how many people can't have children, but God gave it to you. And then when the child was in preschool, kindergarten, you dress them up so cute. Oh my God, they look like a button. And that's all that mattered to you. How cute they look. Teacher try to talk to you, you take it personal. You cut up right in front of your child, cause your children to disrespect that teacher. It's not good because it hurts one person the most. That's your child. You're preparing them to fail. I want to know why. Don't you love them? And if you love somebody, don't you want them to succeed? Don't you want them to win? Don't get mad. Listen, you know what love is? Well, I know that you'll probably take a bullet for your child. So that's love. But you know what's the strongest love? It's preparing that child to succeed once they're tossed out of the nest so they can escape predators. Because if you don't prepare your child to succeed, you're preparing them to fail because you're preparing them for something. There's no such thing as, I don't know, we're just taking it one day at a time. Foolishness. There's no such as that. You're either preparing them to succeed or you're preparing them to fail. Now ask yourself this question. What are you preparing your child for? And if you can't answer that, you're preparing them to fail. You're setting up your child. And I'm talking about the one we love the most. I wouldn't dare question your love for your child. All I'm trying to get you to do is pick up a magnifying glass and re-examine your interpretation of love. How do you love this child and you allow them to come home after school and they never practice their skills? How do you expect them to learn the skill? You know how the brain works. How do you learn anything? There's one way to learn it, regardless of what these new techie programs will tell you. We're human beings. We're not humanoids. We're human beings, and our brains work in one way through repetition. Our brain works with patterns. Our brain works with practice. Don't let them tell you foolishness. Oh, take this cute little ball and throw it at the screen. Oh, wow, look, you're doing fantastic. Foolishness. Which job do you go to where your kid's going to take a cute ball, throw it at a screen that lights up and make noises? That's not preparing them for real life. So if you want to do that on the side, that's fine. You see, summer just went by. And your kids played the whole summer, you send them back empty with a whole ton of gaps. And you call it love. But what you're going to do is make sure they look real cute. Cute failing. You make them look so adorable while failing. And I say, shame, shame, shameful. That's not love. If you love somebody, you'll chastise them and you'll correct them. But I know that you're afraid. Now, some of you, you're setting them up because you know that once they get to a certain grade, say they get to sixth grade, and they're failing everything because they got no foundation. It's almost like you're trying to get them to climb a ladder where the first 5 steps are missing. Let's say it's an 8-step ladder. They got step 1 is missing, 2, 3, 4, 5 missing. When they get to 6th and 8th grade, and the teacher is starting at that level, and your kid nothing down there for them to stand on, setting them up to fail. But why? Don't you love them? Now, I work with children. And I believe that I have the answer for what's going on, but I didn't come up with the answer. The answer has always been there. You see, if you don't practice, you're not going to learn. Our brain, as human, work through practice. When you learn a song and you can sing that entire song, it's not because you heard it one time. It's because you heard it multiple times, over and over and over and over and over, and your brain stored it into long-term memory. That's why if you can ride a bike, you didn't just get on the bike and you got perfect at it. No. I mean, sometimes if you're just gifted or talented, yeah, maybe in your case, you got on the bicycle and maybe the 3rd time you got it. But you first had to learn to balance. So I don't want to hear that you just got on and woohoo. The songs you know, whether or not you want to learn a song, if it plays 20 times, you're going to be singing that song, can't get it out of your head. So why aren't our children learning? What's going on with our kids? Is it the milk? What's going on? No, it's a lack of practice. And I need you to stop setting these children up to fail. Because, see, we've come such a long way. Such a long way we've come. And we've become comfortable. Now, when I speak to all races. Because even if you're white, there were ancestors before you that had to sacrifice something. It was Spanish, Cuban, Mexican, whatever you are. I'm a black woman. I speak directly to the black. We, our ancestors, the things they went through and the audacity for us just to brush it like it was nothing. Ooh, wow. Makes me want to kick my bag. The audacity for us to shake it off. How dare us? My girl, Harriet Tubman, and all the others that sacrificed for us. When I hear her story and the things that she did, this woman, unselfish, saved herself, and she came back. I mean, I would never go back. I mean, I escaped bullets passing my ears. I escaped alligators in murky waters that I had to walk through. I escaped getting my foot cut off by whatever because I had no shoes on. And then you think I'm going back? She went back. She went back over and over and over and over again. That's wild. And it wasn't easy. It's not like just gas, I'm just going to burn extra gas. Oh, it's going to cost me a lot of money in gas to go back. No, she risked her life because she was driven with a purpose. And even when it comes to some of our people that don't want to be involved, I mean, the way this woman fought to give you freedom. Not just her. Again, I just use her to represent the others that have done this for us. The way they fought for us. Do you know we were never allowed to even pick up a book because knowledge is power? We weren't allowed to even read a book. So whoever learned how to read had to do it under a bushel somewhere, in a basement, somewhere dark base with a flashlight. They had to sneak and they had to read and learn. And now everything they fought for, we're trying to undo it. You see, because we're enabled. And you think this battle is over. You think that what they fought for is over. You think we've arrived. But let me tell you one thing that I always remember. I remember that when slavery was abolished and the news came, and finally all the slaveholders had to release the slaves. And I remember there, but what I've read about and what I know, my limited knowledge, I know that at some point the slave masters released the slave. They opened the gate. They said, look, we can't hold you anymore. Get out of here. And I know that some of them ran and got out of there. But I also know that a lot of slaves were afraid to leave because they didn't know how to survive. They preferred to stay in slavery than to go out and be free. They didn't know how to be free. And I always thought to myself, the message that must have sent to the slave owners. I bet they said, oh, snap, all this time we were going through all this trouble, paying bounty hunters to trap these slaves and to keep them from running away. But my goodness, they don't want to go. We don't have to trap them to enslave them anymore. There's a better way. Set them free and they'll entrap themselves. Set them free and they'll enslave themselves. What do you think you're doing to these children? Let me tell you something. You think that what I'm saying is nonsense? You're going full circle. Because why was slavery even empowered? Because you had people that had no knowledge. Not because they didn't want knowledge, but we know the story. They couldn't read, they couldn't write. What's happening? Are we not going backwards where our children cannot read? Oh, stop. Stop. One thing that I have the scores. Don't tell me your child is okay. Don't tell me, oh, my school is an A school. You have an A school? An A school doesn't mean that all the students are getting A's. That's not what it means. There's a lot that goes into an A school, a lot. And it's not just a grade. Children across Florida and across the nation, at best, 50% proficiency. I have the score. It's public record. Don't tell me that it's not your child. And don't tell me it's not your school, because I will show you that, yes, it's your school and it is your child. Your child is failing. Your child is being prepared to fail. Not blaming the school. I would never do that. Not because, see, I'm on both sides. I'm a parent, I'm an educator. I'm not even actively working for any district right now, so I can be open and I can be honest. I already told you the teachers are incredible. The curriculum, that curriculum is rigorous. Yes, it is. It's rigorous. I understand that, some people want to put more Black history in it, or somebody else might want to put some Hispanic history. That's all good. If you're asking me, I feel like the Jewish teach their own kids. They have Jewish school after school, after regular school. Well, of course, we want things handed to us. We want our history taught. Why don't you teach? I'm a Black woman. I'm going to teach my children Black history. But I'm not going to force a Hispanic person to teach my children Black history. I'm not going to teach a Caucasian to teach my child Black history. I feel like that's my job. That's how I feel. So let's stop foolishness, like I said, because we're going full circle back into slavery. And if we don't prepare our children to thrive, they're going to dive right back where they're being told what to do. They're going to have the lowest hand on a job. Okay? Because even the ones that are growing up and becoming nurses, they're going to these little rinky dink nursing programs, and they're as wild as can be. I would never let one of them work on me. And I'm not saying that it's all about your child growing up and going to college to become a doctor. I started talking about purpose when I first turned on purpose. Because whatever their purpose is, that's what's going to line them with Jeremiah 29 and 11. God knows the plan he has for us. He knows. It might not be a doctor or lawyer, but whatever it is, it's perfectly aligned with what he needs to get done. You see, this world is a big puzzle. And I always give out puzzle pieces to children. And I tell them, I do that because I know sometimes as a kid, you're intimidated and the world is so big. It's hard to understand where you fit in. It's hard to understand that you're actually just as important as any other person, because you have these people that are famous and you hear their name and they have a global presence. And for someone like me that I don't have a global presence, it's like, you know, how do I size up to one of them? They're obviously more important than me. I mean, clearly, but no. Because see, if you think about a puzzle that you have to build, right? You have centerpieces, which we always want to be, because it's always like the cutest little, if it's a rose or I don't know, if it's like a car, it's the best part is in the middle, in the center of the puzzle. But then you also have corner pieces and you have those edges, and they always make them gray or, that tan, just ugly. And, we might think, I don't want to be that. If I had to pick a piece, I want to pick the centerpiece because it's, more attractive. But one thing I know, regardless of what piece I am, if my piece is not in that puzzle, the whole world is incomplete. The whole puzzle is incomplete. That little corner piece, that little gray piece that seems insignificant, if that piece is missing, the very little tiny edge. And that's why, God says he is the cornerstone, the stone that the builders refuse. They're like, parents, your kids are going back to school and you didn't fix what was wrong. You didn't fix it. So now they have one more year of gaps, a greater chance of failure, greater chance of missing out on life. And by the way, that quote, if you're not preparing your child to succeed, you're preparing them to fail. I believe that was Thomas Jefferson. Let me give that credit there. So you need to fix. If something is wrong and you truly love your child, don't set them up to fail in life. You might think, well, they won't die. They'll get food stamps or they'll get, I don't know what it's called these days. One thing I can't stand though is how we're so easily sold or bought. We're just waiting for that stimulus check. $3,000 sold. Oh my God. It's like when we used to be born and sold. We're worth $3,000. Put me in that long line in the sun. Let me wait for my check and I'll vote any way you want me to. So fix what's wrong with your child. Yes, it's going to cost you money. I heard a parent crying on the news. I thought the school was teaching my child. My son is in fourth grade and he can't read. You have a kid that's in fourth grade and you didn't know your child couldn't read. I know why the child couldn't read. It's because when he's home, you made him balance, right? You said, babe, I want you to watch 2 hours of TV, and then I want you to do even 1 hour of reading, even if it's not fully balanced. But did you even do that? That's what you did, right? Right. During summer, what you did is you sent your child to football camp for 3 weeks and a learning camp for 3 weeks, right? That's why your child can't read, right? Your child can't read because during homework time, you said to him, babe, there's no way you're finished with your homework in 5 minutes, right? Because you did that. That's why your child can't read. That's because you didn't do those things. Information must be processed. Now, I know this video is getting long and I'm going to cut it. You see, this lady here, well, it's really just a picture and I just itemize it and I call her my Harriet Tubman because I really admire Harriet Tubman because I can't even stand to have a spider on me. This woman crawling through murky water. I'm like, good Lord. So that's part of my inspiration is looking at this picture and I realize there's a lot of people that's doing great things. And if they can do it, so can I. I said I had the answer. Let's talk about it. It's nothing new. Absolutely nothing new. Right? There's a connection between the heart, the mouth, and the brain. You see, whatever you believe is what you're going to speak. And whatever you speak, your brain hear it. And you program your brain to act. It's really simply that. Whatever you believe, your brain's going to, if you believe that you're not that smart like a lot of our students do, they don't think they're so smart because they don't have that foundation. When they were younger, you didn't give them that foundation. So they're kind of hollow inside. They're academically hollow inside. And they feel it. They don't feel so smart. And that's what you're seeing materialized. Okay? The brain, if you don't believe that you're smart and that you can pass your test and that you can get an A, you're going to speak something. You know what you're going to say? I'm not going to get an A. I fail anyways. A teacher, she give me the worst grades. You're not going to say, I earned that grade because I didn't practice. And again, whether or not you like a song, your brain don't have a choice. That's what you don't understand. Your brain don't have a choice. Now, I'm not talking about people who are neurologically challenged. That's a whole different story. I'm talking about people who were tested and it came back normal. And if you don't know how to do fractions and you don't know how to change improper fractions back to percentages and you don't know how to do proportion and the slope, intercept, blah, 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 it's simple. It's a lack of practice. And why would you practice if you don't believe that you can do it? Why would your child practice? They've come this far and they keep getting these low grades. Of course, it's going to have an impact on them. They wish you would show them love enough to tell them you're going to study. You're going to study, sweetheart. I want you to get back in that room and I want you to work a little harder. And that's the other thing. You're sending them to do did you finish your homework? Yes, mom. Now can I watch TV? Okay. Setting them up for failure. So if your child's in third or fourth grade, they got their whole life ahead of them still. They have up to 12th grade. You already gave up. Costs you money because they got a whole ton of gaps. See, what you're doing, you play this game. When they get to another grade and the teacher is talking about proportion, they can't do it. What do? You take them to some tutoring program and say, listen, I need my child to understand proportion. Here's the money. And as soon as the kid passed the test, because of course, if you train them to pass the test, you say, this is a blue, this is blue, this is blue, this is blue. What color is it? Blue. Oh, yay, you get an A. Okay. And then you stop. 10 weeks later, you bring them back. What color is this? To see, the brain don't work like that. You see, if you don't practice until it gets into long-term storage, all that money you paid for proportion is going to be wasted. Why wouldn't you just fix the child? Why wouldn't you just do it the right way? Why? Don't you love them? Don't you want them to succeed? And I'm going to tell you, I don't bother with messages and responses and people that is angry because I just have to share what God is putting on my heart to share. So parents who have third and fourth and up and your child's struggling and you're just watching them grow up too. You know that if they don't have an academic foundation, they can't get certain jobs. It's almost like you're just eliminating their chances of any success. You're just taking them out of the race. You're taking them out of the drawing. You're going to make them go back to some job where someone's going to say, you know what? Go clean the toilet. Oh, somebody just vomited. Go clean that up. They're going to be pushed around. They're going to be bullied. And what can they do about it? What can they do about it? Quit? So fix the problem. Then those of you now that have younger kids, preschoolers, or those that's just starting elementary, you know what angers me? It's because you're so tough-headed. And I try to say to these parents, I said, don't allow them to follow the same trend. I have the scores. I'm not being negative. It would be negative if the scores weren't showing this. Okay, this year across, I think is it just Palm Beach County, 54% of the children at proficiency. Proficiency now, it would be one thing if that was like an 80%. Now, you're talking about only 54% of the children was able to hit a proficiency, which is pretty much 40%. Begins at 40, 50%. If you don't believe it, I have parent information sessions from time to time. If I can't mention it in this video, I will mention it in another video. But parents, I need you to get serious. Now, if they're in kindergarten or first grade, okay, I personally don't like to go work with children much older than that because I feel it's injustice. And talk about injustice. We like to use that word injustice. You know what's an injustice? Academic injustice is what our parents are doing to our children. Okay? It's not the school district's job to help your child to succeed in their life. It's their job to give them the information. But helping your child to align with their purpose, mom, dad, that's your job. Think about it. What else is your job? And I'm gonna say this: if your child is in fourth and fifth grade and they're getting low grades, use that money that you would spend on the shoes. Because I see those shoes, those $300 shoes. Use that money and get them some real help. And I always tell parents, don't just go to those tutoring program that's gonna fix one problem. Don't. Because if you found out that you had cancer, you're not just going to go for one chemo treatment. You're going to go until it's going to cost you a lot of money. But if your child had cancer, like those at St. Jude's Children's Hospital, what are you going to say, sweetheart? It's really expensive. We can only afford to give you 2 sessions of chemo. Well, don't tell me that I can't compare physical illness or sickness to this. Because what's worse than a mental death? Wouldn't it be better to be dead than to be mentally dead? Like a dead man walking? I think so. And that's what we do with our kids because you're setting them up to have nothing to work with, to be passed over on jobs and opportunity, not unqualified for every position they'll try to get. And then when I say full circle, where they're going to go? Back to the bottom, being pushed around, being told what to do. Even if they're not enslaved, where they're going to run to? They won't want to leave because at least they're getting free cheese and milk and orange juice. Why would they run away? They're going to become that slave again. So if you have these young children, like I'm saying, you can prevent this from happening. And this is where I think the injustice comes in. Is when we have parents that's allowing their preschoolers and kindergartners to follow the same exact road, the same pattern, and the way it's going to, yes, you know how it's going to end. I'm a full, strong Christian, so don't try to use the Bible on me because I know it well. Don't tell me life and death is in the power of the tongue. Yes, so true. So, and that's what you want to do all day long. My child's going to be an attorney. My child's going to be a doctor. You can say that all day long. But if you're not working, say faith without work. So don't insult God either. You have this faith, but you got no work. Shame. Now, if you have to work all day long, if you're a nurse, spend the money. Spend the money. Don't go to some random place. You need to find a place. And I can always recommend, because we have a special program that you'll hear more about in my podcasts, that we are out to restore the education. I don't believe in fixing one problem and then stopping, because that's almost like giving them a crutch. You have a broken leg, you're going to give the child a crutch to walk through life. Don't just fix reading. You're going to fix the reading. You're going to fix the math. You're going to fix the science. You're going to make the child well-rounded. I told you I had the solution and I still got off track. The solution here, mindset. Now see, before you start trying to teach your child academic, you got to fix them. You got to stop the bleeding here. That's where it has to stop. Don't allow these preschoolers and these kindergartners. I said I had the answer, and that's what it is. Proven by educational psychologists for years, Piaget and Eric Erikson. They have all the theories. It hasn't changed. But you always have people that's trying to come up with new ways, like, throwing a ball at the screen and voila, when the child, they're solving fraction on the screen, but you give them a pen and say, what is this divided by that? They can't even set it up. Or what is this number above that number? Can you convert it to such and such? They can't do it. But they can throw something at the screen and they did it. Foolishness. Stop letting people waste your money. And parents, stop letting your child lead. That's unethical and that's despicable. Because You wouldn't give them a car key if they were 5 years old. Would you give them the car keys and say, drive the car? Please, money, please, money, please. I really want to drive the car. Please let me drive the car. You wouldn't do it because you knew they would die. But what else are you doing when you allow them to sit in a driver's seat when it comes to their education? And see those parents that's fighting for freedom, you want to control their education. I understand the ones that are legitimate about it, sincere about it, and you really just don't want them teaching certain inappropriate things to your children. But those of you, they just want it in your hand so that you can make the kid miss classes and stay home. You want to homeschool so they can go to school when they want. Parents, take that phone out of those children's hands. It's like giving them the car keys too early. Shame. We have a special program that starts here. Because see, one thing you can't give a child, a teacher, no matter how great they are, they can't go with that child from year to year to year to year. They can loop a few times, but they can't go with that child throughout their whole life. Parents, no matter how incredible you are, you can't really go with that child throughout their whole life. And what I mean, you'll be around, but they have to be able to survive on their own. And survival is not good enough. And the civics book, it will even tell you that American education, all education, the purpose of education is just to prepare children, prepare people to be able to survive. It never promised that it would teach them how to reach their dreams. That's not what public education or private. And speaking of public and private, those of you that are like, well, my child's in a charter school. Honey, charter school's about 1 to 2 points better. Still failing. All of them failing. Now, the kids that you see in the top 5%, they have parents that are really serious. But on average, more than 90% of children are failing. So then in the world, you're going to have like 10% running the whole world. How do you think they talk about that? Rich become richer, poor become poorer, no middle class. Come on. So if your child's not going to be in the top rich class, and I know I'm speaking that thing, you better stop it. If you're not preparing them, because we know about quicksand, we know you got to give them a strong foundation, just like the one you would want to build a house on. You don't want to build a house on just faith. Okay, I have faith that I'm putting the sand. I have faith that I'm putting in the hurricane windows. So you better stop it. And you better take care of these children. It's going to cost you. And if you really love that child, and if you know you cannot say, what are you preparing your child? What are you preparing them for? If you really don't know, because if you say you're preparing your child to be, I don't know, if you say you're preparing them to be a neuroscientist, for example, then I'm going to ask you, show me the plan. Because if you don't have a plan, how do you know when you get somewhere? When you're driving, you use the GPS for a reason. It plans your route. How your child going to succeed in life when you don't even have a success plan? And that's where we come in. The academic success plan for kids. Every child should have an academic success plan. Don't tell me about the one that the school has. They have a generic plan. As a mom, as a dad, you need a plan for your child. So don't allow your preschoolers and your kindergartner to follow the same route. There is a proven method to prevent this from happening. All these kids should not be struggling to read. There's nothing in the milk or the cheese or the orange juice. It's not the teachers, it's not the curriculum, it's not the school. Parents, I want you to own this thing. Now, it's either you're going to decide to continue to deny it and neglect it and allow your kid to keep failing. That is your choice. That is your I guess it is your choice. It's unethical, but no one can do anything about it. That poor child is what I say. Imagine being stuck with a parent who allow you to miss your purpose in life. Instead of allowing you to walk towards your purpose, they make you turn and go the wrong way because they don't want to spend the money. And the truth is, You're the one that messed the child up in the first place, and now you don't want to fix it because the sessions are it's gonna cost you. Why? Whoever's going to fix it. Now, when somebody tell you they'll fix your child problem, they're going to tutor your child for $20, you're going to get what you pay for. Because no real strong program that's going to close the gaps. If you're not going to close the gaps, if you're not going to give the chemo treatment until the cancer goes away or it's at bay, that's unethical. You and the doctor that agrees to do that. A real program to close these gaps, it's going to hold you accountable. It's going to show you results. It's not going to be all over the place. This week we're fixing fraction and proportion. No, there's a real system, even for fixing what's wrong with these children. And I've spoken to the school district many times, spoken to principals, and I tell them about this program. A lot of them have pretty much given up because, see, they know that even if you have a program, because they can fix the problem, the parents, you stand in their way. So the district don't even try to purchase programs anymore to fix it. You notice they don't even have textbook. Why? You don't use the textbook. It collects dust. When you sit in a parent-teacher conference, you go home and they throw the paper in the garbage can on your way out. But remember, God is going to hold you accountable, like I said, because you're messing with his plan. You're holding up his work. There is a way to get more children at a greater level of proficiency. It starts with session 1, which is mindset enrichment and development. Look for my other videos where I'm going to break things down for you. And if there's anyone, I'll actually probably give you a P.O. box because I don't like to read through a lot of emails and that's sent. I prefer, if you're serious, you'll write me a letter and I'll answer your questions. Okay. But if you're even second grade, second, third, fourth, fifth grade, you need to fix what's wrong or continue knowing that you are setting your child up for failure. It's not going to happen by chance. It's not luck. It has to be intentional, parents. Must be. And if your child's in kindergarten now and you start to tell me, well, this is what I hear all the time. I'm just gonna wait and see what happens. Maybe I'll talk to dad. I'll talk to the mom, and we'll figure out what's gonna happen. You know what's gonna happen. You know what's going to happen because it happens to every district child. Every child in Palm Beach County, every child across the state and the nation. The ones that miss it are because they're the kind of parents that I probably didn't mention. They're the ones that is going to allow their children to develop the skill. Anything that is learned must be processed. When they learn it in school, mom and dad, that's not processing. It's going into their going into their short-term memories at most. Okay. It goes first, it goes into their sensory, through their sensory skills, and it goes in there and it plays around a little bit. Then, if they stay on it a little longer, it goes to short-term memory. But to make it to long-term memory, you got to pick up a pencil and a pen. Yes, they do. Oh, yes, I'm old school. She's old school. That's how the children learn to stop playing around. Stop playing around, trying to take people money, telling them, you don't need a pen paper anymore. That's old school. The children need to learn how to do it in their head. Let me see the accountant do it in their head, the whole thing in their head. It's not real life. They're storying. People that want to get rich off of you, they're going to tell you the things that I'm saying, okay? Because somehow our brain have evolved and we don't learn the same way as humans anymore. That's foolishness. Humanoids, I get it. You program them. And then they'll spit out numbers and that's how they learn. Okay. So mindset is first. So all that you're going to do with your child, if they're in third, fourth, fifth, and you're sitting there trying to teach them, you're wasting your time. Step 1 is mindset. Look for my next video and I will talk to you about how to begin the process. If you're one of those parents that's listening and you're serious about backtracking and getting your child back where they need to be, Listen, it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in 1 year. It didn't happen in 2 years. You neglected it over a period of years. And now your child is in a very dangerous place because, see, if your child is in fifth grade and they're getting ready to go to the middle school, there's going to be that divide. And that's when their dreams really start to explicitly dissipate because the type of classes they take, those regular classes versus honors classes. And let me not even go too far on this because you might think, oh, my child's taking an honor class. Not because they're taking an honors class, still don't mean they're even where they're supposed to be because they keep dropping the bar. Okay. And teachers have to work magic and miracle for your child to pass that honors class. You see, they have to put someone in honors. They have to put someone in honors. So even if your child is not quite honors, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're not going to put the ones that have a level 2 in honors, but maybe if someone has a 4, they'll go into honors, even though the scale's up to 10, and they're not quite an 8 or 9, but they're definitely higher than the level 2s. So they're the ones that get honors. Tell me it's foolishness. So parents, let's make this happen for our kids. You have a responsibility, and God is watching, and he sees that you're making choices that's a fact impacting his plan, because he needs your child to get to a certain place, and you promised him that you would have done it. He said, God, give me this baby, give me this child. You're supposed to line them up to get to that place with him. Okay. And so I got the scores. I want to talk to some of my parents. In our next video, we're going to be very explicitly talking about a stronger foundation. And we do have a strategy to close learning gaps and just to reverse all the educational disparity. I kind of made that up, so I hope it makes sense. But the educational disparity that you're seeing, there is hope, and we don't have to ignore what's happening and allow the kids to continue to fail. Our product can fix any child, no matter what grade. The only thing between that child's success and what our truth is, what our product is a parent. The parent. Because if you have a weak parent, nothing's going to work. No great teacher, no matter how awesome the strategies, no matter what they do. If you're one of those parents that's a hindering agent in your child's life, a hindering agent in your child's life, yeah, they're happy. Because who wouldn't be happy? Mom, instead of going to school, you're going to let us go to the park? For those of you that let your kids miss days of school because they need a day off, unbelievable. You can't allow them to miss core subjects. Now, if they're ill and they have a fever, yes. But just letting them miss school because they're tired, setting them up for failure. What's love got to do with it? You better ask yourself that question. What does love have to do with that child failing because you're enabling them to fail? Tune into our next podcast, all right, when we'll talk about stronger foundation and how we can help you undo some of what's wrong with the educational system. Thank you for watching.